Sorry, it's like the third attempt at this, at the second half of this. So the last part was designed to, they're a little bit more distressing, but again, not to worry too much about this one. But what happened was they had quite a what I learned after the fact is that I had quite a big seizure at the start of the operation, and what I then learned in the maybe in my brain, in my memory, it was about the last third of the operation, so the last couple of hours. I had a lot of seizures during the operation that I remember I was awake for. Now these sound more distressing than they actually were, but it is worth sharing what this was, because I've been reminded, obviously, that everything has to remain as calm as you possibly can. And I wanted to be as calm as I wanted to be I wanted to be awake. I wanted to be as calm as possibly, because there's a whole team of people. So the last thing that would affect their work, but also I suppose in lots of ways my the effect of their ability to do a good job of my operation, it's important that I was as calm as possible. So that's why I'd written that equanimity on my hand, I know I'd mentioned before. But when I struggled for this did help, one, which I'll explain. But during these operations, I'd had quite a big seizure at the start, which I was unconscious for. But in the last third, I'd had a lot of seizures, one after the other, after another, which I later learned was the most seizures that he'd done so many in one operation, and it slows things down. So it must be frustrating because they have to stop everything that happens. So during that operation, the person that was in front of me, the lady in front of me, she would, what would happen is, if she sees me slipping into a bit of a seizure, which is what happened, you could usually tell because my voice gets a bit slurred, and you can tell what the seizure sort of looks like. And what she'd do is she said is an algorithm that they follow, and she'd say seizure, seizure, seizure. She'd say it 3 times. The surgeons, they'd stop doing what they were doing, and then what would happen is, in order to stop the seizure from stopping, there'd be somebody in the background. She just sat with a jug of frozen water, and she'd walk over. I can't see this, but I'd already been told what would happen. And then they just pour frozen water straight onto your brain, which and you hear everything cold. I was still having this seizure, and then I kind of like take this thing, could feel the seizure would kind of it's like a Control-Alt-Delete, or it's like a computer's just kind of getting stuck. But the Control-Alt-Delete with the frozen water is very, very cold, but then suddenly it resets. So I'd go from just kind of being stuck in one person, and then after the frozen water, and then suddenly my eyes kind of come to normal again. And then I look at the lady that's in front of me, and I say, right, okay, carry on. And it became so normal that she'd be like, okay, seizure, same thing, everyone stops. Somebody comes over the frozen water, and quite often, sometimes I'll be halfway through a word, or I'll kind of like just a little bit like slurry or something, and then it just reset, which was I thought was interesting itself. It was like a really interesting thing. I've not gone into all of the details of that because some of that sounds more distressing than it is, but also the impressions of what that sort of is, because it was a bit weird. But yeah, so there was a lot of these seizures, and then towards the end I kept trying to close my eyes because I wanted to just fall asleep, because it's just tiring, I suppose. But they say, oh Stephen, come on, awake. And then I got told, like, right, that's it, Stephen, we've done. And then the Mr. Solanke, he was putting the staples. If anything, that was the worst bit of the operation. It's these staples because that was the most stressful thing, mostly because the staples get caught with your hair, so it's like pulling your hair, and I was kind of like, ugh. But then during them putting these staples on, I was worried about this because I continued to have like these seizures. So they'd be like, again, seizures, same thing. And then it would be, but I don't know when the frozen water, frozen water would still go on there. And times when I'd do this, and there was once that it occurred to me, the equanimity really, I know I keep talking about this, it must be boring now, but having seen this word reminded me, like, hang on a minute, it really isn't that bad. It isn't as bad as you thought. And that really helped, because I closed my eyes and I kind of like, I wanted to like cry, like, oh my, it really hurt. And then I reminded that, hang on, this isn't bad. This is just, it's in your head a little bit. And then you kind of remind yourself. I'd share that, because there are times when you think you're taking something, if you stump your toe or something? Stub your toe. It's a bit like that. In a way, if you just say, hang on, it does hurt, but could that be taken? That could be taken, couldn't it? You're actually all right with that. That sort of helped. Anyway, so I had that equanimity of that, and the repetition of this, and then my worry was that I was the surgery has stopped now, and I'm still having these seizures. Then my worry was that forever I'm just going to have these, but actually that wasn't right. I didn't have one after that operation. Not I have had one since, but yeah, there was something really fascinating about that whole thing. And as soon as it was almost like a light went off, because as soon as they finished, they did the last of the staples, finished and tightened and all those things. It was like they could then say to me, now you can go to sleep, you're done, job done. And that was it. Lights off. I was gone, asleep. I went straight to sleep. I did spend that night in ICU because it hadn't gone quite as they'd expected. So they had to keep just a bit of a closer eye on me with the ICU. Again, brilliant team of people that, again, I'm saying that because I can't really remember them. I don't remember them now, but until the next morning. I woke up the next morning and then it was done. Job was done and the whole team were done. And then the Cheryl, she had a phone call from Mr. Solanke. And the children had to go to bed, and they were still waiting. They'd been to school. They're expecting maybe something by maybe 5 o'clock, maybe 6 o'clock. Still no answer. No 7, no 8, 9 o'clock. I think it was 9:15, and he spoke to Cheryl, and she he explained everything that had happened, and that he said it was very successful in the end. It was very hard. He said it was very, very difficult, but in the end, they've had to go the long way around the houses, but ended up doing a really brilliant time. So we had that, and I saw. Then the next day, I sat down to write down. I realised, like, as soon as I wrote something, I couldn't really do. My handwriting had gone a bit funny, which went to normal quite quickly, but my writing hadn't gone to normal. But I was so delighted to see him when he came in. He could tell he was delighted with the work that he'd done, but I was delighted to see him, Mr. Solanke, when he came in. I was so, I was proud of him, and I felt proud that it's like this big, huge thing that we'd gone through together, this whole team. It sounds like really corny to say that, but it's really true. Even the people that were in the ICU, they were to look out to get me, to look through me and to look after me was just amazing. And then, so that was from Thursday night. So by Friday into the day, so it was Friday night and then Saturday night, and it was especially, it's amazing how I went from feeling like, oh, I'm fine now, and then I'd be normal, and then it would just drop, just a tiredness that I couldn't explain. I couldn't even talk. I was so tired, and then I'd fall asleep and then be awake again. And would you believe this? So serious operation Thursday, finish Thursday evening at 9 o'clock. Went through Friday, Saturday, and then I actually got a phone call. Cheryl got the phone call in at what time? 7:30-ish Sunday night. Come and collect Stephen. He can go home. And I was at home. Isn't it amazing? You could have such an operation like that on the brain because it's obviously it's in interest to try and recover at home, and to be sent home within a couple of days was remarkable. But yeah, I'm probably missing so many details there over those two videos. For anyone who wants to listen to any of those, if you want to hear any other details of those, or you want to speak to me individually, I'm saying, feel free to contact me or send me a message or anything. I'd be happy to share those. But yeah, that was the times of that time where I had a brain, operation on my brain, an awake one, which is pretty badass. And all that's all right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks for saying that. Thanks for allowing me to share that with you. All right.